Hello and welcome here to TalkFCB and welcome back to the channel here today, guys, with Barça news once again coming your way as we are going to be discussing the very latest on Frenkie De Jong and Man United's interest with some truly incredible words last night from their very own CEO. Really, we have to discuss that. Plus as well, Raphinha and the latest on him, as could he be moving closer again to a move to Barça, along with an update on Ansu Fati and addressing the concerning rumours we're hearing right now about his current physical state. We're going to be looking into the whole story and breaking it down, so let's get to it. Because if we do indeed begin with Manchester United's interest in Frenkie De Jong this summer, we know that it certainly exists. That was actually confirmed by their CEO yesterday. They are very much in the market for De Jong. And of course, United did make an opening offer for De Jong of just 60 million euros plus 10 million in variables, which was basically laughed away by Barça. We are very much aware right now there is no desperation to sell De Jong. We do not have to sell him for financial reasons. We are only interested in doing business if a huge offer arrives, and basically an offer that the club will feel they simply cannot refuse. Now, on Saturday night, Manchester United's brand new CEO, Richard Arnold, sort of sat down there for an off-the-record chat with a group basically of disgruntled Man United fans who are actually protesting against the Glazers there, Man United's very unpopular owners, over the running of the club. And he basically sat down there to talk about transfer activity, about the plans for the summer, and what was going to happen moving forward. Now, I don't know whether he intended for those words to be recorded and published. It did seem as though he was being sort of secretly filmed at times, so I don't know if he planned for all of these words to get out. But, well, they have done, and they certainly have gone very, very public, and I truly believe here that everything he said actually strengthens Barca's negotiating position on Frenkie De Jong. Because after Richard Arnold basically confirmed that Man United this summer have a transfer budget of £200 million, he went on to say, we are doing everything right now to get De Jong. He said, we do want him, we've sent people to Barcelona, and he said, I'm telling you that the money is there for him. He said money is not a consideration when it comes to the players we want. He basically said, money's no object. We will pay what we have to pay to bring in the targets that Ten Hag wants, and that is certainly Frenkie De Jong. And you just look at those words right there and the way that it's been said there, and you just think about Barca hearing those words. Surely that only strengthens our stance and only makes Barca aware that the money is there for United. It's no secret at all. They're a club that do spend money. They do have money. They do generate money. The money, he's clearly said, is there. So why would we sell for less? Why would we even think about selling on the cheap? And I just think those words there make it even more clear now for Barca than ever. You can only sell De Jong for that huge bid. We should only be holding out for an extraordinary amount of money, and nothing less than that, especially now, is acceptable. But if we do indeed move on to the topic of Raphinha, somebody, of course, that we know now for several months Barca have held that personal agreement with. He is very much open and wants to make the move to Barca this summer, and as you can see right there, he appeared this morning on the cover of both Sport and Mundo Deportivo, as once again, the optimism with Raphinha, it's starting to grow again, and especially now we've got the go-ahead on those economic levers, have Barca almost got a second wind in this particular deal. And it has been reported over the past 24 hours by Sport that Joan Laporta has actually contacted Raphinha since those economic levers can now go ahead. He's contacted him and said, we will get you. We will bring you in this summer. We will be able to sign you. And the journalist there who reported that news for Sport, he is actually very reliable when it comes to Brazilian players. That is there something definitely to take notice of. And it is being reported right now in the media pretty widely, especially today by Fabrizio Romano, that Leeds have already started maybe to soften their negotiating position. We all heard at first, rumours that they demand 70, maybe even 80 million for Raphinha. Huge huge money that honestly we were not even close to paying. But already, that valuation, according to Fabrizio, it's come down to 55 million euros. Now, right now, that's still too much. That is still much more than Barça are willing to pay. We're looking more around the 40 million mark. But the two parties, as time goes on, may just be getting closer. And sports say that next week, Raphinha's agent Deco, of course, we all know very, very well, he's going to meet with Barça, basically to clarify this whole Raphinha situation, to understand where our stance is in those negotiations. And also, of course, he may have some information from the side of Leeds in terms of their valuation, whether there's any movement on that. So next week that meeting with Deco, it should help us understand more about Raphinha and whether this deal still could happen. However, guys, we move from one forward to another, and now I want to talk about Ansu Fati, and now I want to address what we've been hearing really over the past 24, 48 hours. It's starting to get more and more now, more and more concerning reports surrounding Ansu Fati and his current condition, his current fitness there, that recovery from him from that injury, and exactly how that's progressing. And of course, there's big concern whenever you hear things like that connected with Ansu. But what I really wanted to do here today was actually give you the full picture. Not just the headline, not just the scaremongering. I want to give you the complete picture on what is happening with Ansu right now. Because reports have emerged there from a few different journalists in Spain. Ashraf Benayad was one of the ones who went into detail on Ansu Fati's condition and the feeling within the club right now. Javi Miguel also is somebody who's reliable when it comes to injuries, and he has also expressed concern right now about Ansu. It's being said that 5 months on, of course, from that original problem that occurred back in January, Ansu is still not yet ready for the highest level of competition. And it's being said right now that he's far from ready, and that the idea inside of the club is that he should have had the surgery. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. And then he made a big mistake by not listening to the doctor's advice and having that surgery when it was available. And his situation is even being compared right now to Samuel Umtiti, who of course back in the day too did not have the surgery, and that has not worked out well further down the line. But what is the truth right now? What is happening with Ansu, and how have we suddenly got to hearing reports like this? Well, if we look at the injury timeline, he obviously got his first hamstring injury against Celta back in November there of 2021. It took him there just over 2 months of recovery to return from that problem when he came back in January, and in just his second game since returning, he did relapse. In extra time there against Athletic Club, it was heartbreaking scenes, and Ansu Fati suffered a direct relapse of that hamstring problem. Now, it's very important to note that at the time, Barca's medical staff, now led of course by Dr. Richard Arnold, who'd only just returned to the club, they strongly advised Ansu and those people around him that he really should undergo surgery on that hamstring problem to fully correct the issue and ensure that he didn't have any further problems later down the line. And if he did have that surgery, it would have ruled him out there to 3 to 5 months, and he likely would have missed the rest of the current season, but he probably would have been back nicely in time for the next. However, Ansu Fati made the decision not to undergo surgery. And that was a decision that was basically made after the trauma, and we shouldn't forget this, the trauma that he suffered, of course, during that knee problem that he had with the meniscus when he had surgery and there was complications. And as a result of those complications in surgery, he actually ended up being operated on 3 different times. So you could understand the skepticism, although it does have to be said that Dr. Richard Arnold and Barca's medical staff, it had received a real shake-up since Ansu's knee problem and that original advice. And of course then, in electing not to undergo that surgery, Ansu then opted for conservative treatment that he was expected to return in April, but that was actually pushed back then to May. Barca were very cautious with him, and of course he did feature in our final 6 games of the season. He scored twice in that time, including playing in that post-season friendly in Australia, but you will remember he was very much limited to minutes off the bench. He didn't start any of those games, and the most minutes he played in any of those matches was 34 minutes against Villarreal. However, I think the concern now has started, and I think actually where these reports are now starting to come from and where all this noise is beginning to surface is when, after that post-season friendly, Ansu then was named in Luis Enrique's Spanish squad, where Luis Enrique said basically they were going to be very careful with Ansu, they were going to follow on from what the club were doing, and that they had a specific plan for him, but he didn't play at all. In the 3 games for Spain, Ansu did not appear on the pitch for 1 single minute, and clearly there was concern, and many people asking why that happened. But I think what we have to do in this situation right now, guys, is look into what Luis Enrique has said. You know, it's no good jumping to conclusions and trying to guess what the situation is, when actually Lucho has come out and clearly explained the decision not to play Ansu. Because he basically said, in calling him up, I just wanted to motivate him, to see him in the dynamic of the team again, just to see what he could do with the ball and without the ball. Luis Enrique said, I just wanted to see him in training, understand the sort of level and where he's at right now. And he said, after seeing him, I am pleasantly optimistic. He said the injury is recovered. But he did say that so far, I haven't seen him at the level that I'd want. But he said his confidence is good, and I've got no doubt that he will return to his level. So Luis Enrique there, he seems to say the injury's okay. He is recovering. He has recovered from that problem, but of course, it's still going to take that time to get back to the kind of level that both Spain and Barça require from Ansu. And that is why right now, guys, it is kind of difficult to gauge where we're at. You know, you're hearing these reports about the concern. Luis Enrique said those things just days ago now. We knew that Ansu wasn't, completely up to speed. We were all aware that it was going to take time. And I think the real question now is, no matter what these reports are saying, is that pre-season, that's going to be huge. And in that time, the real question is going to be, can Ansu prepare for the new campaign? Can he go through the really intense training that you see in a pre-season period? Can he play a number of matches there in the lead up to the new season, all without his body breaking down? Well, that's going to be the question. And that is why right now we're just going to have to sit back and wait for that to happen. We are going to see with our own eyes Ansu in pre-season training, playing matches in that time, and we're going to see how his body responds. I think at this stage, yes, the reports are concerning. We never want to hear anything like that about Ansu. And of course, whenever you hear that he may be struggling, the alarm bells start ringing. But at this point, let's just see, when he comes back to pre-season, how he's going to respond, how Xavi uses him, what his level looks like. And I just hope with all my heart that he is okay, that he can continue to recover in the way that we hope, the way that we expect him to, and that there are going to be no further setbacks. Only time will tell, and yes, these reports are concerning, no doubt about that, but let's hope at this stage for the best. And so indeed, guys, those are the latest reports right now when it comes to Barça. Please do let me know all of your thoughts in the comments down below on the Ansu Fati situation, where you see him at right now, what you're hoping and expecting for ahead of pre-season. Let me know as well your thoughts on Raphinha and indeed Frenkie De Jong. And I do just have to say a massive, massive thank you, a super thanks for the donations. This has actually never happened to me before, but I was checking the comments in previous videos. I saw highlighted comments, and many of you guys there being very, very generous and kind indeed. So thank you very, very much for all of you that did. Thank you, of course, as well to all the YouTube members, the Patreons of this channel, and indeed each and every one of you for day in, day out, coming back here to get involved in the videos, to get involved in the conversation. And I really do hope now we can all experience an exciting summer together, building now ahead of that new season. Thank you indeed, as always, guys. But until next time, as always, Visca El Barça.